Hey guys, what's going on? So today we're going to be looking at the top 5 comps that are spammed in TFT in this current patch. These are some of the 5 strongest comps you can play. There are some of the most popular comps. So if you find this video helpful, if you learned something, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a little comment down below. It'll really help out the channel. So guys, the first build we're going to be looking at today is going to be called Bouncing Paninis. I decided this because it's a trick shot build and it's really funny to imagine they're just lobbing paninis at people's heads instead of doing the little trick shot abilities. This makes your life a little bit better if you think of it that way. So essentially this build revolves around having a level 2 Kai'Sa and Galio. So Galio is one of the tankiest people in the game and he does draw aggro, so it really allows your other frontliners to stay alive and do a bit of damage for a bit longer. And Kai'Sa does an awful lot of damage, and especially with her ult, she can ricochet this between multiple people and clear out a couple of people within even just one ult. So the way we play this one is we want to go fast 8, so we essentially want to be econ as much as possible while maintaining as much HP as we can until we get to level 8. And then we are going to roll for our level 2 Kai'Sa and our level 2 Galio. Once we have them, we can look at going to level 9 in order to get an easier chance of getting Udyr level 2 and Xayah level 2. So for the early game, what you want to do is you want to particularly focus around your Story Weaver build. So early Story Weaver really carries the build. So you want to have a Garen, a Riven, and a Sivir. So you have a bit of a tanky front line. You have your Sivir, and then you want to choose the green Keel. So that's going to carry your early game. You're then going to want to add in like a Teemo and some Trick Shotters and then some Bruisers on top of that, okay? Pretty much until you get to level 8, just do what you can, play more or less your strongest board while econing. Try and get the people from the build in there, but it's not too important to have 3 Trick Shotters on or 3 Bruisers, things like this. So just play whatever is strongest at the time. And yeah, in terms of items then, so I would be making sure my Galio has a Redemption and a Dragon's Claw just for the healing. So it really is important that he heals and stays alive for as long as possible. And if your Kai'Sa can nuke their carries, he will heal up to the point where he's unkillable and it'll just sort of be a free win. Whereas if he gets nuked at the start because you don't have tank items and heals on him, you're pretty much leaving your backline open because none of these other guys are that tanky. I would currently 100% be putting a Gargoyle Stone Plate on Galio just because of the nature of Galio. He does sort of do an ultimate which asks if you want to hit him. That is really going to make him benefit from this item a lot more than others would. So in terms of Kai'Sa, I'd be giving her a Spear Surgeon so she ults more frequently, so her ultimate is her key selling point here. I would be giving her a Last Whisper so she does her own armor pen, and I would give her a crit item because critting is particularly important in this game because say you're against a Yasuo or a Volibear or anything like this, if you can crit it and get it to die before it actually does its ult or does its ability, it's very good and it really helps a lot. So then we have some more standard items, so just an anti-heal item and a Morella's Nomicon on the Teemo. You can pretty much move this to someone else if you want to. I just think I like it on him because it ricochets to a couple of people and it kind of hits the backline, stopping them healing. So whenever Kai'Sa's ricocheting into the backline, they're not really getting healed up by anyone. And in terms of Silas then, we're just basically going to give him a Bloodthirster and a Titan's Resolve if we can get them. We're not too fussed on it. Again, we're going to give him an Ionic Spark if he can get the item spare. No one really uses the T-Cloak apart from this guy uses 3. And no one needs a staff on this team apart from Teemo needs 1. So if you have a spare staff and spare cloak, put it on him for Ionic Spark, give him a Titan's Resolve and give him a Bloodthirster. If you don't, it's not too big of a deal, but he is quite decent at clearing some front lines and killing them. So just in terms of positioning for this comp, guys, it really does make or break the comp, so it is kind of important to wrap your head around. So this is the first way I would probably do it in most games. Just this is sort of for anti-Yone, anti-Volibear. Those tend to be the more common builds you're going to see, and they're going to be some of the stronger builds, and they can really just annihilate your backline instantly. So the reason I've got Kai'Sa tucked away and sort of the lesser important units in front of her is because, say Yone ults, he has to kill these 2 or these 2 first. So it's going to take him at least 3 ults to get to our Kai'Sa. And the same with Volibear, so Volibear would have to kill her and then probably have to kill one of these other 2 before he can get to our Kai'Sa. And at that time she's going to have ulted a couple of times and hopefully kill the majority of the team, if not also the Volibear or Yone. Now this position is actually very bad if you are going to be coming up against a Lux positioned over here or a Lilia, anything like this, something that does like a big AoE damage, because it's going to hit multiple of these guys, and to be honest, like 2 Lux ults can pretty much kill your Kai'Sa through everyone else. So if that is the case, you're going to want to maneuver your positioning. So I'd probably do something like this. You're essentially just wanting to get your Sivir speed boost on top of your Kai'Sa and your Keel. And this sort of spreads them out in a straight line. So if Lux hits this guy, he's not hitting anyone else. He might hit these 2, he might hit these 2, but Lux is really not going to be able to hit everything at once, so it is going to give you opportunity to kill people. And if you do find that, for example, there's a Lux over here, I would sort of move to Udyr to wherever they are, so he can sort of dash through, pick someone up and smash them into Lux, and just hopefully kill them that way. But I would always keep the Galio sort of on the side of where your Kai'Sa is, just to keep her protected. So the next comp we're going to be looking at, guys, is going to be called Spooky Bombs. It's basically just 6 Ghostly, okay? You'll have seen this everywhere. There'll be 100 videos on this. Everyone's telling you how good it is. It is actually good, so that's why it's in the top 5 list. Now, I think there are a couple of builds that are slightly better than it, just due to how contested this one tends to be because of how popular it is. But it is a very good build if you can get uncontested and, you know, use this the whole way through the game. So the reason this is so good is because of the Ghostly effect, okay? So essentially what happens is, whenever your Ghostly units do 6 bits of damage or they take 6 bits of damage, they'll release 2 Spectres, okay? These Spectres will attach themselves to an enemy champion. That champion then takes some bonus damage from those Spectres, and when he dies, he passes them on to another person. So say he had 2 and another guy had 2. If you kill the first guy, the next guy's going to have 4, so he gets way more bonus damage. So whenever you get into the realm of like 6 or 8 Ghostly, there's an extreme amount of bonus damage being done, and it just means that the enemies melt, particularly at the later stages of the game. And whenever you're getting further into team fights, so whenever you've killed the first couple of people, it starts to get easier and easier and easier for your build to clutch up. So to play this build, essentially what we want to do is have the following champions, okay? We want to really focus on our Senna, our Shen, and our Aatrox. Those are our 3 cores. So what we want to do is be playing fast 6. We want to go to level 6 quickly as we can, with as much coins as we can, try and maintain 50 econ if possible, and try and save as much HP as possible. When you're there, you just stay level 6 and just roll until you hit 3-star all of these. Now, in the event you're being contested, what you want to do is pretty much just try and hit silver of each of them, and then move on with your life, try and level up to 8 so you can hit your Morgana, your Kayn. In those instances, you're probably not going to get a first place because you haven't been able to 3-star your greens, but in some instances it does happen, and you do have to try and get a top 4 with what you can work with and try and take the Morganas and the Kayns away from the other guy before he gets them. So if you do manage to 3-star your Senna and your Shen and your Aatrox, what you want to do is make sure that you are itemizing them correctly. So in terms of items, what I would always do on Shen is always give him a Gargoyles, and I'd always position him right in front of where all the carries are going to be, so he's the first guy getting hit, so he's benefiting the most from this. I'd also be giving him his Dragon Claw and his War Mugs. So essentially I want him to have as much health as possible, heal as much as possible, and to take as little damage as possible. So I think this item combination is the best for him personally. Then the next most important set of items is going to be on your Senna. So again, early game I'd be trying to slam a Rage Blade. So some people might not like this. I think Rage Blade on Senna is really, really strong, especially in the early game. It'll really carry you through the first 2 stages with just the Rage Blade. And obviously giving her a crit item and some armor pen is very, very nice there as well. After that, you want to focus on your Aatrox items. So ideally you'll get the Tattoo of Protection. Depending on what you get depends on where it goes. I probably want to put a tattoo on Senna at any rate. To be honest with you, I put it on a different character. So if you got like the Bombardment or the Fury, something like that, I just put it on someone else, maybe your Caitlyn or your Morgana. But I definitely will be put it on Senna because I do think these items are very, very good. For Aatrox then, I would also put it on a Sunfire Cape, so he is giving some anti-heal. So anti-heal is quite important for any comp. And I'd be giving him a Redemption as well, just because he's right beside the Shen. So if you can give Shen, 50% of his shield, that's very nice, keeps him alive longer. And if you can do Redemption and Shen's already stacked with some health, it's going to be really helpful in keeping your Shen alive as well. So yeah, just these item combinations really make for a tanky frontline. I wouldn't really be itemizing Kayn too much unless you had a lot of spare items or some items that none of these guys actually need. Then I'd put it on him, but I don't think he's overly strong. Same sort of thing with Udyr. Like, I think Udyr is pretty good, but I would never really be itemizing him unless I had a couple leftover items or a Thief's Glove, something like that. In terms of Morgana, so you want to be focused on your Sojourn, so she casts her ult a bit more frequently. That's her sort of main ability. She does like an AoE ult, very, very good for wiping out backlines, to be honest with you. And also want to give her a Rabadons, probably, if you can get the spare staffs, just so she's doing some extra damage to everyone. And I'd also give her a Crit Glove personally. But if you can't get the Crit Glove, what you can do is look at making a Morello's instead of the Sunfire. Sometimes you'll have the items from Morello's, not a Sunfire. It's kind of okay to put that on her as well. So in terms of positioning, what I'd be doing is I would always be trying to keep these guys sort of central because you don't have that many tanks. And I would also keep these two kind of just one row behind because you don't want them getting nuked initially. So what you want is for your Udyr to be able to walk up, sort of hit the backline carries or hit one of their tanks and do a lot of damage to him and not be focused so you can do a lot. Whereas if he starts over here and he's sort of, you know, in line before the Shen, he's going to get pretty much instant nuked and be more or less a useless person on your team. Same thing for Kayn. If Kayn's up here and he gets insta focus instead of like a lobby or Aatrox, he's just going to be useless. Whereas if he's not getting targeted, he can sneak into the back line. Maybe there's 1 or 2 people over here. The majority of the team's over here. Tanks are all here. He can sort of sneak up the back line and work his way across. So I would always sort of keep him over there and keep him one back so he's not targeted. In terms of the Caitlyn, I put her here because she can one-shot people. And generally the strongest enemy carry is going to be over here on the top right. And so you just want to give her as much distance as possible and make sure she's targeting that person because it will be the furthest away from her she targets. So that's why I do that. Senna just right beside her because she is a sniper, but she does tend to hit the front line a bit more, so it's not too important to have her in the corner. And then I would leave this a little bit of space in case there is like a Lux or a Lilia, just so your Morgana isn't dying as well. So if, for example, your Senna dies, it's a little bit more time before your Morgana dies. I also would never put Morgana over here because obviously if Udyr dies and, you know, people might ignore your Shen, walk down the side here and just start killing your Morgana and then sort of go and kill your Senna. But if you have her over here, they're not incentivized to walk down here. They're incentivized to hit your Shen sort of from the back like this. And it just gives you a bit more time. So the next composition we're going to be looking at then is going to be called Win at Level 5. So essentially what you're doing is you're going to be playing 5 Mythics, 2 Wardens, 2 Ghostly, 2 Arcanists, 2 Heavenly, 2 Behemoth. And also 2 Sniper and 2 Invoker. So you can see that you've got insane amounts of synergy there. And I really hate this build. It's my most hated. I think it's like so skillless. I hate it so much because you can just get spooned this like the first couple of levels and you're so strong. You're so much stronger than everyone else for so long. And you can just maintain that right to the end game. It's only sort of like level 9 and 10 where this build starts getting flattened a little bit. But by then you're probably already top 4 and there is a chance that you're just going to be too strong for anyone to even come back against. So I would recommend playing this if no one's contesting it, but problem is someone tends to want like a Caitlyn for a ghostly build, or they want like your Nico for like a heavenly build, or they want your Kog'Maw for an invoker build, anything like this. So if it's not contested and you can get it early, go for it 100% because you will just place really well. So the reason it's so good is that Caitlyn and Kog'Maw, okay, essentially will ignore tanks and you just nuke backlines. So Kog'Maw, regardless if there's a tank in the way, will just shoot over him at times and kill your backline in like 1 hit, especially if he has these items. Caitlyn will again 1 hit anyone as long as there's not a tank in the way, and if there is a big tanky person in the way, she does so much burst to them that it's actually really helpful in killing them. So for example, if she snipes a Yone, you'll probably go under half health easily and be finished up by everyone else before you can heal himself, so it's really, really nice. In terms of tanks, I think Cho'Gath is maybe the strongest tank in the game, honestly. Like, the guy is insane for a 1 cost. It really just frustrates me seeing a level 3 Cho'Gath at like 2-5, something like this. Like, if someone gets spooned a level 3 Cho'Gath, it's like insanely frustrating because you can never kill it, especially if he has the right items on it. Level 3 Malphite again is just very, very tanky, and the main thing he does is provide a behemoth buff to the Cho'Gath, which makes him even more insane. And Nico is quite good in the fact that she is tanky, not as tanky as Cho'Gath in my opinion, but she heals a lot and she does her ult quite frequently. So you'll get her to be almost dead and then she'll heal up like half her HP, and by the time that happens once or twice, you've got not enough people to actually kill her. So she'll essentially just be there and win the game. Even if all your backline's dead, she'll be able to heal up just enough to kill everyone by herself because of her constant healing at level 3. So in my opinion, Nautilus is just here to stun people. It is really annoying. You don't have to focus on getting him to 3-star or anything like that, but he pretty much does his stun from here and stuns everyone all the way up to the backline, which does buy you some time and makes sure your tanks don't die, makes it so you can get a couple more shots off. Very, very powerful. Allow it against just a little tank basically, just to give this little synergy. I give the Ghostly, so again Ghostly is quite a nice little synergy, but it is quite a low level version of it. And Lilia again, she just sort of throws bowling balls at people and does a little bit of damage through tanks to the backline. So she's not going to be too instrumental to this build unless you can get her some items, but you do need quite a lot of items for this build to be quite strong already, so you might not get any spare. So how you're supposed to play this is you do not level up at all, okay? You just naturally level while you are just searching for the rerolls. So you're not actually spending coins until you get to level 5 and have 50 coins, in which case you just slow roll at 50 for these champions. Prior to that, you're just looking for them to automatically come up in your shop whenever the new round starts. Now, if you want to, what you can do to get a really early start on this, now it's not necessarily recommended, but it can be the difference maker in winning a couple of early rounds, is you can roll whenever you're like level 2 because you've got a very high chance of getting 1 costs and nothing else. So you have a very high chance of getting your Caitlyn, your Kog'Maw, things like this, getting a level 2 version. You can do the same at level 3, the same at level 4. It will really hurt your recon, and you will not really be able to level up as quickly as everyone else, and it might cost you. But if you're able to get like a level 3 Kog'Maw or like level 3 Cho'Gath, things like this, it will really pay off. But that's very gamba, and I prefer to just go level 5 and slow roll at 50 and hit the 3 cost that way. So the main ones you're looking for then is going to be your Cho'Gath level 3, your Caitlyn level 3, and your Kog'Maw level 3. So you pretty much need the Cho'Gath because he's going to be so tanky, and the reason you're going to win is because no one can get past him or kill him. And then yeah, level 3 Caitlyn obviously shooting backlines, level 3 Kog'Maw shooting backlines. So if you don't get level 3 Malphite, I think it's not the end of the world. If you've hit your Cho'Gath, your Caitlyn, and your Kog'Maw, I would maybe level up as long as he's level 2 and just sort of slowly get him even when you're leveled. In terms of Neeko, you're never really rolling for her at 6, you're just trying to get her. As soon as you hit these guys 3-star, I'd be just trying to get to level 8 basically, get your Lilia and all your synergies on, get your Nautilus, things like that. And then when you're level 8, you don't have any golds, you don't have really much else you need to do. I would just roll at 8 until you 3-star your entire board basically, and just buy any Nautiluses and Lilias you can get. Because to be honest with you, no one really can test Nautilus I've seen in any game, so you could probably 3-star him pretty quickly. And in terms of Lilia, again, there's very rare builds where someone's trying to 3-star a Lilia, so you can't get that and pretty much end the game, because in 9 out of 10 times in a game, if you can get a 3-star 4 cost, you can win, unless you're playing a very high elo where people are getting like insane builds and they're getting like all these level 2 golds. You're probably going to win, probably in sort of like under diamond, first one to get like a level 4 3 cost wins. So yeah, just in terms of positioning, obviously you just want to have Kog'Maw and Caitlyn at separate sides, just so they are not getting killed at the same time. You want to have Lilia sort of angled here, so she is hitting into this backline, it's where the carries tend to be. Same thing with Caitlyn, you want her sniping at the furthest away, most important carry. Kog'Maw actually doesn't sort of function in the way of hitting the furthest away person. I think he hits sort of the closest person to him a lot of the time, so he'll either hit the tank or he'll just skip slightly over them and hit the carries over here, so that's why he's over there. Your frontliners are just basically there just to be in the right position, so this is where all the carries are over in this top right section usually. That's why they're all positioned there in this order. And we have Nautilus over here because we want him to stun as many people in a row as possible, so obviously we're thinking all the carries are over there, the tanks are in between. We're going to hit all the tanks and then the carries in that order, whereas if we have him here, maybe hit like, you know, one carry, or maybe it'll go this way and he'll miss the carries entirely. So just for items on this one then, again, similar to everything else, you want to have a Gargoyles on your Cho'Gath because he's going to be hitting hit the most. You're going to want to have a Warmox, give him as much health as possible, and a Dragon's Claw just to make it so he's healing himself a lot. I would say those are the 3 most important items for this build. Then what we want to do is we want to make sure we're prioritizing the Sojourn for Caitlyn, so this makes her ult a little bit more and give her a crit item. Basically this just means that she's going to cast her ult more and potentially one hit a lot more easily. So I would definitely have these items as priority after your tank items. So straight after you've done that, what I would do is start prioritizing Kog'Maw and Neeko sort of equally, to be honest. So I would always try and get the blue buff on the Kog'Maw first, and then I would always try and get the redemption on the Neeko first. Then I'd be trying to get the Sunfire Cape on Neeko, and then I'd be trying to get the Nasher Tooth on Kog'Maw. Then I'd be trying to get his Crit Glove just so he does a little bit more damage, but that's not too much. And then I would get an Ionic Spark just so as any magic damage dealers like these guys will do a bit more damage whenever Neeko's alive. So yeah, as I say guys, it is the 3rd best build, but it literally can win you so much LP, especially at lower ranks. Like if you're not in like Platinum or above, like you just spam this, you're going to win pretty much every single game, because you're just going to do so much damage to people so early that they're not going to be able to recover, and they're not going to be able to adapt quick enough to play a different build and take less damage, and you're just going to put them out so quickly and get so much LP. Okay guys, so the next build is going to be called Folly's LP Printer. Now the reason for this is that the guy literally prints LP. He's just like insanely overpowered. I don't know why he hasn't been nerfed as of yet. I'm sure he will be in the future because he is so strong with his item combination, it's insane. So for this build, what we're focusing on is getting to 6 Duelist. We're going to be getting 2 Dragon Lords, 2 Sage and 2 Heavenly, okay? So these are very good supporting synergies for the Duelist as well. But the main priority here is hitting a 3-star Tristana and a 3-star Volibear in particular. So the strategy here is get to level 7, playing the strongest board you can. Hopefully you'll hit a Volibear or Tristana before this, and you can start itemizing them if possible on the way up. But you want to get to level 7 and then essentially just sit there at 50 coins at level 7 and just reroll until you hit your 3-star Bear and your 3-star Tristana. Now you do also want to be trying to hit 3-star Diana, but if you hit your bear and you hit your Tristana, what you can do is just try and get Diana naturally through the rest of the game, so you're not staying at level 7 for too long and giving yourself too much of a disadvantage, because we ultimately do want to get an Irelia at some point, and at level 7 that's quite hard to get. So once you hit those two level 3, you're pretty much set to more or less win the game, because the itemization on these guys is insane, and the damage they do and the healing they do is also unreasonable, and you will smash the majority of teams. So in terms of positioning, what we do is we put the Volibear over on the left hand corner. Now this is where it tends to be the weakest units, and there tends to be, you know, not really tanks over here. There tends to be tanks in the middle. So Volibear can essentially get his way in, sneak and kill the backline, and then work along the backline there. Really irritating. A lot of people don't consider that, and that's why we have him mushed into the side here. We then have Tristana in this back corner as well, because we want her to be attacking out of the way. She's going to bounce forward and hit people, but we want her to be sort of on the side of volley whenever she can be, just to add a little bit more damage there and to help him kill the targets and move on through the back line. So this little section here I call cannon fodder. So your Qiyana pretty much is going to get nuked more or less instantly because of where she's positioned, but she has like a 2 cost and she's really not that good, so we just leave her over there just to get nuked. Same thing with Darius. Darius is just here more or less to get nuked first. They buy these guys a little bit of time. Your Wukong is placed behind because he then wants to go up and stun, but ultimately he will die very fast as well. We then have our Diana, who is going to be our main tank here. She's actually very tanky, and we have a redemption on her so she can actually heal the front line. A lot of the time she's beside the Volibear, so we want to just be giving him more heals, and she just wants to heal herself. Give her a gargle, so again, these guys are going to get folded pretty quick, so majority of people are going to be hitting Diana, so this is really beneficial. And we're giving her an Evan Shroud, so as Folly and Tristana have a bit of an easier time in killing people. So Lee Sin, in my opinion, isn't that great. He attacks, you know, he doesn't do much damage of his attacks. He attacks reasonably slow for being in a duelist build, in my opinion. Doesn't do all too much. But Irelia is insane. Irelia hits everyone. She can provide anti-heal to everyone if you give a red buff on her. Really good. And I would always give her a Rage Blade as well, so she's attacking that quickly. So in terms of items, what you want to be focusing on is these 3 items here. So a Bloodthirster and 2 Titan's Resolves. Okay, this is your priority. If you're on a carousel and you can complete one of these, definitely do it. Over any other item on this board, these are the most important. As soon as you get your 3-star Volibear with these items, he can pretty much 1v5. If you don't get his items, he is a lot weaker. I will just make that clear. So this build really is item and person based. So if you get the level 3 Volibear and you have awful items, he's not going to be that good, but if you get these 3, he's going to just carry you through victories. Next, I'd definitely be prioritizing your Irelia items. What you can do if you have a remover is put the Rage Blade on Tristana if you can't get 2, okay? Just have her carry it for the most of the game, and then whenever you get her at like level 8 or 9, take it off Tristana, give it to the Irelia. And I'd also give her the red buff so she's doing the anti-heal I talked about earlier. In terms of Tristana, I really like to give her a Rage Blade just because I see it ramp up so quickly with her because she does so many little attacks. I think it's really beneficial. I give her a crit item as well because I like her to be able to crit, especially with her jump. She can clear out multiple people at once, especially if they're bronze or they're silver and they're kind of low health. She can like kill a couple of people with just that one jump with a crit item. I've also seen a Runan's Hurricane work well on her, but I don't want to give too many items to her just because basically we need some tank items as well just for our main tanks. But if you do happen to have a Runan's Hurricane sort of item sit and spare, definitely put on Tristana. So that's this build. It's very good. It's probably the second best build I think overall. Now what you can do is spam this in lower elos especially, and you can pretty much just tunnel vision on this as long as it's not overly contested. You can pretty much just spam this build and gain LP all the way up to like sort of platinum diamond level, to be absolutely honest with you. Just because it is actually so strong, and up until that point people aren't really playing dynamically. They're not really focusing on going fast 9. They're not really focusing on hitting their 2-star golds or their 3-star purples. So you know, like a 3-star blue is pretty much enough to carry you to LP. Okay guys, so the build I see spammed the most and is definitely the strongest of the 5 is the Yone LP printer one. So essentially Yone just 1v5s every board, and there's really not much you can do about it unless you can somehow CC the life out of him, which generally there aren't that many people who are that strong who can CC. So he tends to just run wild and murder most boards. So the reason this is so strong is just basically that Yone 3-star is amazingly strong, but also you can combine him with these 2 synergies to make him really OP on top of what he already is. So you're going to be looking for 7 heavenly, okay? Now this is going to give him so many bonuses like crit, magic and armor resist, health, attack damage, AP, attack speed and omnivamp if you can get an emblem. It's actually just insane, okay? And obviously, the more heavenlies you have on the board, you should always be aiming for your 7, the more effect these have. So you can see here at 7 heavenly, he gets 240% of these bonuses. And also, if your champions are 3-star, for example, it also increases the ability that they give. So instead of Soraka giving 10 AP, she will now be given 15 AP. And that's also going to be multiplied by 140%. It's going to be very, very nice. So another really important aspect of this build is the items, okay? So you really need to get him the perfect items for him to be so OP. Now, he is very good without these, but with these, he's insane. So same as the Volibear build, 2 Titans Resolves and a Bloodthirster, so he gets 100% more damage at full stacks. He's also getting 40 of each resistance, makes him very, very tanky. He can heal himself very well. He's doing so much more damage that allows him to heal. If he happens to get to 40% health or just under, he will give himself a massive 25% health shield that lasts for 5 seconds, allowing himself to heal back up to full. And a lot of the time people just can't kill him because of these things. He has too many resistances, he heals himself, and he has this little shield. Makes it almost impossible to kill the guy. So on the topic of items, okay, these are the ones that I recommend, but you can obviously change them, move people around, do whatever you want, okay? So the main thing I'd be doing is I would be having a Malphite with an Event Shroud, okay? Now it is obviously optional to change your Nico and your Malphite around depending on where you want him, but I think it's important to have the Event Shroud over here on the right, so as Yone can get the advantages whenever he's diving in here and killing the front line. I would then be giving Nico some tank items and a redemption. So redemption here is mainly just to keep other people alive and to heal herself a little bit. Mainly thinking about the Yasuo, you know, we're doing all this to buff him. So another thing we can do to buff him is give him a redemption. I would definitely look at that. In terms of Nico, just keeping herself alive, making herself a bit tankier, Warmogs and Dragonclaw. Gives herself a lot of magic resistance there, a lot of heals and a lot of health. And she does heal herself, so these are quite nice and will scale really well with her. So Soraka, I would personally itemize. A lot of people don't tend to, but I think she is a very, very, very good champion. I would give her a Sojourn so she casts more frequently. Okay, it's going to also help the Yone in terms of healing. She can also have a Morello's, which just stops the enemy healing. Always good to have an anti-heal item in my opinion, especially with Yone. Just makes his life of killing them easier because they can't heal themselves. Lets him focus on different people a little bit easier. You also want to get a Heavenly Emblem. I would always put it on the Kindred because he's pretty useless, okay? I would never be trying to 3-star your Kindred at any rate. There's no point, it's just a waste of coins. I would never be putting items on him because it's a waste of coins. I would only ever be putting on a Heavenly Emblem. Obviously, if you get any spare items like a Thieves Glove, you can look at putting it onto your Wukong or your Kayn. So the positioning here is basically just Yone in the middle with 2 people either side of him. So we want these guys to absorb most of the damage, but we do also want Yone's Titans to stack pretty quick. So this allows like maybe, you know, 2 or 3 people to hit him. But also these guys are absorbing a lot of the damage from on the sides. Yone is going to dash away from here anyway into the back line and be a nuisance, so it then is pretty much just going to leave these guys to take the hits. So the Wukong here, okay, we put him over here on the left because this tends to be the weaker side of the board. There tends to be less tanks over here and easier to kill enemies. So he can go in there, stun a little bit, buys Yone a bit more time because he's stunning, and he can potentially wipe some people out there and travel along the back line, much like we seen with Volibear earlier. We have this Nico here, basically just absorbing any damage from this side, so his Yone's not getting hit too much. We have Malphite absorbing damage from this side, so he's not getting hit too much. We have Kayn here in the corner, so he can try and sneak through into the backline and kill their carry if possible, but a lot of the times he just gets annihilated. This is also the reason we have Kha'Zix and Qiyana down here, so we want them to not get hit so much early because they're very weak and easy to kill, but they can ultimately do a lot of damage and kill people for you. So Qiyana can hit through multiple people at once, and Kha'Zix does an ult and it does do a reasonable bit of damage if you have some nice items on him. We also have Kindred in the back right corner because you just want to keep them away from everyone doing little bits of poke damage. They don't do very much, but this is the best place for them. And we want to have Soraka in the back right corner because we want her to be one of the last people to die, and we don't want anyone really targeting her before everyone else is dead, so that's why she's back here. So yeah, the way to play this then is you pretty much just want to get to level 7 as quickly as is possible, okay? You don't really care about getting, you know, 3-star off your 1-cost or your 2-cost champions. You can kind of just skip past them and take what ones you get as long as you have one of each, okay? That's pretty much the main thing. You then want to get to level 7 and then you start rolling above 50 coins to get your 3-star Yone, okay? As soon as you get your 3-star Yone, you pretty much can win the game or come very close to winning the game. So there are some circumstances, like for example, if you're going Yone and you see someone else going Yone, you get to level 7 first. Maybe you've already got level 2 Yone, you need 6 more. it can be acceptable to roll yourself down to like 20 coins looking for the other Yones. Generally, this is a very, very risky strategy, but it is one where you might have to do it to assert that you're going to be getting the gold Yone and the other guy is going to be struggling the whole game, hoping that he either pivots or that he just decides to level past level 7 and keep his 2-star Yone and try and build a different part of the team. So in rare circumstances where you can't get your level 3 Yone, it is going to look somewhat grim for you, but he is still pretty strong at level 2, and you can try and rely on your Wukong and your Kayn a little bit more. So in the event he's contested, what I would do is I would just try and level up to 9, try and hit a 2-star Wukong, and I would definitely try and itemize him. And I would be trying to hit like a level 2 Kayn and potentially looking at level 3 Kayn to try and end the game that way. Because you have to go for these sort of weird plays whenever you're not getting your 3-star Yone. But yes, overall guys, that's the top 5 most played comps that I see in competitive anyway. They are really strong builds. You can look up online, you'll have seen these builds everywhere. They are very, very good, and playing any one of them can get you a lot of LP as long as they're not contested. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, hopefully you learned a little bit of something. If you did like it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a little comment down below if you have any other suggestions or something I could have done differently. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.